Colleen Yates, and I'm the CEO of Regional Development Australia Perth, and welcome to our show today. Today we've got Jana Soderlund, and she is an expert in biophilic design, architecture, anything biophilic. Jana, what does biophilic mean, and what is it, and why is it important to us?
Biophilic design, it's based on biophilia, which is our innate connection to nature. And this is really important because we're still biological beings, people tend to forget that. And so we're evolutionary, part of that, and we're hardwired innate connection to respond to nature. And a lot of it is survival responses, but it's not just the greenery, it's the patterns, forms, shapes, materials, it's things that even like prospect and refuge, being able to sit in a place of safety and see what's coming, So there's all these things and what they do is they trigger positive responses in us. They make us feel good, and they're invoke, they're good for our health, they lower heart rate and decrease our stress levels. So from that, that evolved into biophilic design. So recognising that our cities are our habitats, and this is something that quite a few people don't really fully get. Like I've been doing a presentation about prisons, biophilic design in prisons, and I show zoos. So imagine like the early zoos where we had animals in concrete enclosures, and they got very stressed and didn't thrive. So zoos then recognise that, and now look at zoos and they all sort of try and recreate the natural habitat for that animal.
And they've got increased breeding programs.
Yeah, and that animals are happy. Yeah, we haven't seemed to quite do that same connection with humans and cities, that they're our habitats, and that we would do better if they were more natural, so brought in nature. So this is the shift to biophilic design now, and it's happening. Like I first started in the area 2012, and researching and looking into it. And it was little known, mainly based in the US. But since then, I've just watched the global expansion, the rapid as people respond to it and realise, it seems to be a common sense, an intuitive knowing where people know, this is good. It makes me feel good, It's like why we go out.
And with that, with the growing trend toward this, I understand you're the chair of Biophilic Cities, Australia. And is it because there's been that growing trend across our capital cities that there's more of a move or interest in this particular space?
Oh, definitely. So I also there's a global Biophilic Cities organisation. So I'm part of that steering committee, and that where cities can join and pledge to be a Biophilic city. So there's all these partner Biophilic cities globally. So with the and because of the interest here, like one of the other founders, Tim Beatley, came and we co-presented, and people were really interested. So we formed a Biophilic Cities Australia, and Fremantle has joined the global Biophilic Cities movement, and Canberra is now getting ready to do it. Melbourne's key. There's a lot of movement nationally, but also globally, because you can share innovations and a lot of information around this, and I think that's what happens is what I saw, particularly because I've researched a lot globally and travelled and looked at where this has happened, and talked to people about why has it happened, what's been the driver and the motivator, and often you'll find it's in response to an urban crisis, whether it be stormwater or urban heat or whatever. So they'll do maybe one sort of biophilic element because there's basically we've run off like 14 attributes in 3 categories, you know. That's, yeah, sort of what's been honed down from a whole lot of features. And they implement that, and then you see that's when the multiple benefits are revealed. So people might do a green roof, say, and then realise like they enjoy sitting there. You know, it connects them to the seasons as well. And, you know, this will be for water retention, like to reduce stormwater management. But then, you know, it also is cooler. And so the multiple benefits start to be revealed. And that is why it's taking off so much globally, is that it doesn't just address one issue of our cities, it addresses a lot of things, our social issues, because it's a very holistic, big thing. It integrates indoors and outdoors, so it's about de-stressing, making people, you know, feel better, what I talked about before, but also all the environmental of biodiversity and urban heat and stormwater and management, and these make a very good economic business case. So people are finding it's no longer like, oh, it's just going to be that added economic, you know, extra that they have to pay, but it's actually, it's you know, imperative that we do this now.
So with the biophilic movement, how does Perth as a region, including all, you know, like Armidale and Mundaring, how well does the Perth region uptake? How well has it done in that space? Is it new, or is it?
Yeah, it is fairly new. Like initially, the conversations I was having a few years ago, people would tend to like be a bit wary, but now I see this real shift, you know, as people are recognising that there is a need. We need to do our cities better. And we're also here in Perth, you know, we have our urban tree canopy, and density is a big issue. Like everywhere, cities are growing, urban populations growing, so we need to do our density better. And this is where biophilic design is imperative, because it not only helps that environmentally, but it also helps people accept it socially, because it's about aesthetics as well, and it's about having something that makes people feel good. You know, I've seen things, high energy rated buildings being built, you know, and it's like right up there, but they're not sustainable because there's no beauty about it. There's no people side, you know, they're not built for people, they're built for the energy, like to be very energy efficient. So this is where I think it's just starting to really catch on and get a lot more interest in Perth, because also it's seeing more examples nationally and globally. So I'm now in a few conversations and really keen to you know, get it happening more. But education's the key, I think. Yeah.
So in terms of, let's say you've got an area or local government or a developer that would like to retrofit a piece of infrastructure or an area, what are maybe the top 2 or 3 things that will deliver the greatest return in terms of having a more biophilic space?
Well, so you're talking housing or commercial, or just whatever. I think, you know, where it's possible, like I think green roofs are really good, because they do cool, you know, reduce the urban heat, which is particularly important here in Australia, and help to manage that water and provide that social amenity. So where a building is structurally okay to cope, you can do that. You can also look at sort of that.
That would probably also help with a number of those people you see who can't smoke inside the building, actually giving them a place to go and a cigarette.
True. And you've got the plants helping to clean the air.
Yes.
So, and there's also, Perth is a biodiversity hotspot. So, you know, any greenery can help with biodiversity. They've had green roofs that brought amazing biodiversity in like London and Basel and other places. So there's things like that. They can do interior greenery like biofilter walls, I think, are a way of the future, which is where they've got a living wall inside, so a green wall, and it's air pumped through, and it's about air quality. Yeah, so it's bringing aesthetics and cleaner air, because that's something I've been looking into recently about carbon dioxide buildups indoors, you know, and the loss of cognitive functioning if you have too much carbon dioxide. So as
we're losing our minds.
Yeah, wow, there could be other reasons for that as well. Anyway, so I think it, you know, there's also just the patterning and form and materials that can be introduced. So, you know, that's where it's a very holistic approach. It's a big term, really, biophilic design, a big umbrella term that, you know, and it's underpins. It's about, you know, sustainability and resilience and future proofing and so forth. So, you know, that's where we need to run training and courses in this for developers and for engineers to understand that big picture. It's about collaboration, bringing together a lot of professions and integrating. So we need universities to run biophilic design, biophilic urbanism courses, because it is sort of specialist, you know. You can't, like a biophilic designer is not just a landscape architect or an architect or something. You need to have this understanding of the bigger picture.
So do any of our universities deliver these types of courses?
No, not at the moment. They do overseas, like University of Virginia, and there's small units. I think Deakin in Melbourne is running some. That's something, you know, that I've been talking about, and, you know, looking at what is happening in the education overseas. It is definitely being moved into global universities, as people recognise that, you know, it is a particular field in itself.
I know that some primary schools are actually, you know, they're starting to incorporate composting and, you know, putting in gardens so that kids could learn about where food comes from, etc. Do you think biophilic education in primary schools might be a good place to get the message across?
Well, I think the schools are moving into, you know, connecting. Definitely, they've started to recognise that our children need nature, you know, and need to learn all of that. Biophilic, that's sort of a little niche area, really. You know, I think in high school that more would probably be more where you could start to introduce in their urban design. Like I have lectured in high schools in their urban design geography courses, so about that history and how we need it. And I think that's more the place to start to introduce it, but definitely to then move into universities, and because I think biophilic designers need, you know, to have that broad understanding about resilience, about sustainability, as well as design.
How many of you are out there? I mean, if, for instance, somebody was interested here in Perth to come and talk to you or talk to someone in this space, who do we go to?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, because it is, like I said, a growing area. So there's a small group that came out of the Biophilic Cities Australia, not-for-profit, and we realised, like, we all have that understanding, because part of this is sort of having that common sense and intuitive knowing and connection yourself. So we realise we are all experts in varying fields, but they're diverse, but together they make a very strong you know, what we can offer. Like, so we've formed a company called Biophilic Solutions, and I think that's the conversations I hear out there generally, is people are also recognise that you need collaboration between professions at the moment, because we need this broad, holistic approach. So that's what we're offering with, you know, a company or a group of people that have diverse expertise, but are all experts in it with a understanding of biophilic design, and we're able to offer that sort of complete, like, indoor outdoor. It's it's about integrating. I spent some time with Steve Keller, who has passed away now, but he wrote and was one of the real pioneers of biophilic design, and he would always talk about the seamless integration, between the indoor, the outdoor, the nature, and that's so our buildings are not just sort of plonked there and then we have street trees there, but there's a flow, there's an integration of wilding.
So do you have a website?
We do, but it's sort of under development.
Yes.
So, but you can at least look at it. It's just biophilic.solutions. So, and there's contact details, but this is just newly formed when we realise there is a need out there. Because, and that's why the education. So we're going to hold a workshop for developers and engineers, and start to really move in the education
That
side.
would be really fantastic. So with the Biophilic Cities, can anybody join that?
They can.
Yes.
They all local governments.
Yep.
It's good. They can also approach. We have a Biophilic Cities Facebook page, so they can find us on that, or biophiliccitiesperth.com, I think, and you can join up to our mailing list. So we hold events. And then there is like a little bit. You have to approach the global Biophilic Cities and go through a bit of a protocol about doing a pledge and what your plans are and how you're going to implement it. But
great.
We've got a conference coming up in Singapore regarding that. So,
Wow.
It's been great to see it take off globally.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Jana, for coming in and talking to us about biophilic design and the movement and everything that's happening in that space. And if anybody out there is interested, have a look at Jana's website, Biophilic Solutions, correct?
Biophilic.solutions.
.solutions, okay. And if you're interested in learning more, join up with the Biophilic Cities and become a member. So thank you for that, and we'll be back another time with another show. And don't forget to subscribe.